WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Can't believe I'm putting my voice to this.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon.
The first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say.
I'm a broadcast journalist. I have a right to my opinion.
Oh, son of a...
I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even in commentary.
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly, heard normally on 1490 AM WBCB and always on WBCB1490.com on the interwebs. I'm your host, Fearon, shaking things up a little bit as this is a special webisode because I'm preempted for high school football this week, this Saturday, September 20th. So no Lucas the intern.
That is not fair.
And no Nick Cataldi.
Boo!
Just me, my thoughts, and a microphone. And boy, are they all scary. In this little segment here, we're going to go over the Night of Champions pay-per-view. I'll give you my predictions, certain to go wrong for that. And I'll let you know what Lucas predicted as well, and we'll go over those over the course of the segment here. I've got some news and notes for you. Of course, some info about George's Cards and Collectibles got to talk about. Monster Factory wrestling action tonight. Birthdays as usual. WWE coming to the area over the next couple of weeks, talking about that as well. There's a lot to get into, and we'll start with what's going on tonight. Of course, Monster Factory Pro Wrestling action returns tonight, September 20th, at the Monster Factory, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. 8 matches announced for the card, including the Bloodbound Warriors facing new team Milk Chocolate. That name always makes me scratch my head, but they're a pretty formidable team, and I guess maybe the name is to throw people off a little bit. Looking forward to that. LSG challenging Mike Reed should be another fantastic match. I don't know why all of a sudden wrestlers are going by food names, as the wrestler known as Cheeseburger makes his factory debut tonight against Will Ferreira in a Supersonic Division matchup. Good News Hughes, speaking of the Supersonic Division, defends the Supersonic Championship, or dare I say Supersonic Championship, against number 1 contender Alvarado. You've got the Factory's Finest. Well, they've got their hands full as they defend their Monster Factory Tag Team titles against former WWF Tag Team Champions Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. Anthony Bennett, he'll face Nick Camarado. And a little bit of a shakeup with the Monster Factory Heavyweight Championship title scene. Luis the Punisher Martinez, he still is your champion. He was scheduled to defend his belt against Billy Damiana, but due to Billy's out-of-ring injury that occurred a week ago due to a car accident, Billy is unable to compete. So Martinez will defend against the winner of a 4-way elimination scramble match that'll go on tonight between Rhett Titus, Ryan Adrenaline Rush, Donovan Dijak, and AC Rock's Mark Cruz. Really looking forward to that matchup. And as if all that wasn't enough, if you go to the Monster Factory show tonight at 7 o'clock and bring your ticket stub back the next night, tomorrow night, you can watch WWE Night of Champions for free with some of your favorite Monster Factory wrestlers. That's terrific. More information is available at monsterfactory.org. I've had the chance to go to one of the pay-per-views a couple months ago. Schedule doesn't always line up to get back down there, but it's a fun time hanging out and kind of watching a wrestling event with wrestlers, kind of getting their perspective. It's a really cool thing. You definitely want to check that out. Again, it is monsterfactory.org. Now, I've got a couple of observations from Monday Night Raw that I need to give out about a little bit. First of all, in the opening segment, John Cena threatening Paul Heyman, kidnapping him until Brock Lesnar shows up around halftime. First of all, John Cena is supposed to be the ultimate good guy. He shouldn't be beating up, bullying, or threatening those weaker than him, but we've seen it happen time and time again. I mean, we've seen it here with Heyman. We've seen him beat up Michael Cole. Remember that a couple of years ago where he poured the barbecue sauce all over him and physically restrained him. That is not stuff that the jarhead good guy, all-encompassing role model John Cena should be doing. And on another note, WWE, way to remind your audience once again that there is a football game that they could be watching instead of your show. And not to mention a pretty good one involving the Eagles and the Indianapolis Colts. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, Jack Swagger beating Bo Dallas fairly handily. I don't know. I guess Bo, he's hit one of those valleys as far as he had a little thing going, and now creative seems to have nothing for him. He's no longer a focal point. Also, the mess that is The Miz with his stunt double Damien Mizdow and Dolph Ziggler with now his stunt double R. Ziggler. Oh, our truth, how the mighty have fallen. You may as well have come back as K-Quick at this point. Get rowdy, move some things, rearrange furniture, something. I don't know. It's almost at the point where Truth and Sandow look to be two candidates for future endeavoring when the next rush of those come through. Or who knows, maybe Zack Ryder's on that the top of that list or next on that list, something like that. And the final segment, with all the different things going on, and Vince McMahon, as he has been known to do for decades, goes back to the jingoistic, yay USA, boo the rest of the world. Now, I am an American, although I do have Canadian roots as well. So I guess that gives me some semblance of neutrality. I don't know. But you're reaching out to all these countries with the WWE Network and promoting the whole $9.99 thing, which for now they're promoting it in the U.S. because that's where they initially launched it, but now they're looking to go worldwide with it. It's hard to be both a global phenomenon and continue to be yay America, boo everyone else. The same thing kind of happened with Superman, and they even made a bit of light of it in the not the most recent movie, Man of Steel, the one before it, Superman Returns, I guess it was, where they made fun of the old catchphrase, which was a pretty popular and notable thing back in the 30s when the comic first came out, truth, justice, and the American way. And in the movie they said truth, justice, all that stuff. So even they've realized they kind of have to tone down the Americana, and Vince McMahon hasn't really gotten the message with that. So we're leading up to more yay America, boo everybody else. As I said, as an American, I should be, behind it, and don't get me wrong, I have no problem waving an American flag and maybe having a Canadian one nearby as well. It is really cool with the red and white maple leaf and all that, but that's a whole nother story. Let me move on to something else here before I get myself into more trouble. It seems to happen a lot. Let me tell you about, this is fantastic, George's Cards and Collectibles. They've had a fantastic year of athlete appearances, and they're not slowing down by any means. Coming up Saturday, October 11th, Sean Waltman, formerly known as X-Pac, the 1-2-3 Kid, 6 back in WCW. He'll appear at George's in the Neshaminy Mall from 1 until 3 p.m. Give me a chance to run over there right after the show. Plus, for the Eagles football fans out there, 2 days later, October 13th, Eagles kicker Cody Parkey, who hit that game-winning 36-yard field goal this past Monday night against the Indianapolis Colts, just saying. As well as Eagles punter Donnie Jones will appear for autographs at George's in the Oxford Valley Mall on Monday night. That's October 13th from 7 to 8 p.m. Just enough time to get home for Monday Night Raw, right? Of course, check out George's 3 locations for all your sports and wrestling memorabilia needs. Their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, in the Oxford Valley Mall in the Sears Court on the lower level, and their newest location in the Neshaminy Mall in the movie theater wing. For more information on the upcoming X-Pac appearance, give George's a call at 215-943-2475 or visit them on the web at georgescollectibles.com. And as if that wasn't enough, oh yes, it's back. That's right, Saturday, November 15th, Sign-A-Mania 8 at the Bucks County Technical High School, 610 Worcester Road, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. I've been to a few of the previous Sign-A-Manias, and they're always a blast. The announced guests so far, former WWF Tag Team Champions and current competitors in TNA, Matt and Jeff, the Hardy Boys. Also just announced a couple of days ago, the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, will be at Sign-A-Mania 8, also known as the Dogface Gremlin and Mr. 141 2/3%. Splicey Splice.
You know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Small Joe, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. See, the three-way at Sacrifice, you got a 33 1/3 chance of winning. But I got a 66 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even going to try. So, Samoa Joe, you take your 33 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning, if we used to go one-on-one, and then add 66 2/3%, I got 141 2/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice.
And just added yesterday, recently released former WWE superstar, previously known as Alberto Del Rio. Yeah, a little bit of rolling of the R's there. They will all be at Sign-A-Mania 8. That's, again, Saturday, November 15th at Bucks County Technical High School, 610 Worcester Road in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. More information on that, you can either go to georgescollectibles.com or go to signamania.com. All right, I've got some news and notes coming your way. First of all, the SmackDown night change seems to be postponed at best and a hoax at worst, I guess. The Sci-Fi Network schedule has moved WWE SmackDown back to Friday nights for the entire month of October. The network had previously listed SmackDown as moving to Thursday nights in October, starting on October 2nd. There was even a production truck ages ago that said coming this fall, SmackDown moves to Thursday nights, but that, for all we know, could have been some Photoshop magic or something like that, because people can do amazing things with photos these days. People could do amazing things with photos 20 years ago, or however long, 22 years ago with the Flair Savage bit heading into WrestleMania 8. Yeah, I'm sure you remember it. And if not, then go look it up on the network, $9.99, that whole nonsense. Speaking of the Nature Boy, he underwent some surgery. WWE announcing that Ric Flair is recovering from an undisclosed surgery and has missed his scheduled appearance at the SmackDown TV taping this past Tuesday in Biloxi, Mississippi. The WWE.com statement reads, quote, "Rick is doing well and we look forward to him returning to WWE in the near future." Flair was supposed to be the guest referee of the Roman Reigns-Randy Orton match that took place on SmackDown, and he also missed a scheduled appearance at last week's NXT TakeOver Live special. Moving over to business, WWE signed a deal with Fox Sports to bring live WWE programming to Latin America. That's right, Fox Sports Latin America and WWE have signed a deal to bring WWE programming to 56 million homes in Latin America, including in Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, and Venezuela. The deal begins October 6th and includes Raw, SmackDown, Main Event, NXT, and WWE Vintage Collection, whatever that is, as well as pay-per-view events via Fox Premium. So I wonder what that's going to do for people in those countries who have bought or will buy the WWE Network. Will the quality be different for the WWE Network versus the Fox Sports Latin America channel? Or Fox Premium, or whatever the case may be? I don't know. I guess time will tell. With that deal, though, it initially helped WWE stock a little bit, but overall it didn't have a fantastic week. That brief rebound following the Latin America TV deal kind of stopped the bleeding a little bit, but overall the stock fell 50 cents per share to $14.69 per share, back under the $15 mark and just below half of where it was when it peaked back around WrestleMania time or a little bit thereafter. In a bit of a lighter story that puts entertainment in sports as opposed to sports entertainment, an NFL player pays tribute to Shawn Michaels in an on-field celebration. Washington Redskins defensive end Ryan Kerrigan struck a Shawn Michaels pose after sacking the opposing quarterback during this past Sunday's win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kerrigan explained after the game that his teammate, linebacker Will Compton, had been bugging him for a while to, quote, do the HBK. So after sacking Jacksonville QB Chad Henne on 2 of 4 occasions on the day, which 4 sacks in one day is a pretty huge accomplishment in its own right, Kerrigan celebrated with Michaels' familiar lunge and double bicep flex pose. And I'm sure if you go to Deadspin, you can check out the picture and side-by-side comparison of the Heartbreak Kid and the kid who seemed to have broke Chad Henne's heart by sacking him 4 times in the game. Great, and this guy has to face the Eagles tomorrow. This should be interesting. Also tomorrow, well, is Night of Champions. We'll get into that in just a moment, but a note about the pay-per-view. A former world champion is returning to Night of Champions. Saying champion a lot, I know. Christian will return at tomorrow's NOC pay-per-view, hosting The Peep Show with special guest Chris Jericho in a segment that will air on the kickoff show prior to the pay-per-view. And I'll get you those predictions certain to go wrong in just a bit. One more bit of news. WWE 2K15 release date has been pushed back for PS4 and Xbox One. That's right, the release date for the WWE 2K15 video game on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One has been pushed back from October 28th to November 18th. 2K Sports, they say the delay is because they are, quote, committed to delivering the most authentic and action-packed WWE experience to date. I'm wondering, what in the hell are they going to improve that much with another 3 weeks? But then again, I guess I'm not much of a video game designer. After SummerSlam, I've shown that I'm not exactly much of a prognosticator. At least for that month I wasn't. But I'll do my best to rebound with predictions certain to go wrong for Night of Champions. This is an interesting selection process that I went about, and a lot of it was based on this past Monday on Raw. I noted that the matches involving all of the individuals who are competing in the pay-per-view, the good guys seem to have all won their matches, which makes me think that it's not going to be a very happy ending for the guys that you usually cheer for at the pay-per-view. Let's get into it. Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins. The 2 former Shield members collide. Both Lucas and I agree. We think Mr. Money in the Bank Seth Rollins is going to take it here, and the continued push to the moon of Roman Reigns is going to stop somewhere in space for refuel. How that's going to work, I have no idea, but it's Vince McMahon. He has had stranger things happen. We'll just go with that. Chris Jericho, who's getting ready to head back out on tour with Fozzy, takes on Randy Orton, who could use some semblance of credibility as he hasn't really had a whole lot, as he's pretty much had his junk locked in a drawer somewhere and the key is held by the Authority. That being said, I think Orton gets the win here, and Jericho goes off to sing more metal songs with Fozzy on tour. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting. The Usos defending the WWE Tag Team titles against Goldust and Stardust, or as I've been calling them, Gold Star. Gold Star recently had themselves a bit of a heel turn, so I'm kind of leaning in their direction. I think that we will have new tag team champions. It's been a nice run for the Usos, but I think they could do better chasing Goldust and Stardust and constantly getting foiled by some of the odd, quirky antics of the bizarre duo, the Brothers Rhodes, Goldust, and Stardust. And Lucas seems to agree. So far, we're 3 for 3 on agreeance. And up is the patriotic battle. Mark Henry and America versus Rusev and Russia and other parts of Eastern Europe, I suppose, considering he's from Bulgaria. I'm sure somewhere in there we get to see the picture up on the screen of Vladimir Putin and the whole nonsense. I think people might rather see a picture of Lana Poontang, but that's a whole nother story. It's for internet only, so I'm going to be a little bit more off the cuff. Plus, I'm running on no sleep and recording this at about 3:30 in the morning, so I'm surprised I haven't cursed yet. That's about as close as it's going to get, because I'm a professional. Oh yeah, Mark Henry and Rusev. We both think that since USA stood tall, something tells me that Rusev crush, at least for this month. I've been back and forth on it, but I'm going to stick with it. Lucas agrees on that one. Then, something else that Lucas can definitely agree on, the ladies' match. He thinks it's going to be awesome, but for all the wrong or right reasons, depending on who you think. Paige defending the Divas title against AJ Lee and Nikki Bella in the triple threat match for the WWE Divas title. I don't know why I'm going with Nikki Bella. Well, yeah, I do. It's because I think she's a heel. I don't know why Lucas is going with Nikki Bella, but he is. Maybe he figures she can have the title and he can have Paige and AJ Lee to himself. I don't know. I could see his logic working that way. Either way, we both think that Nikki will at least win the match. Whether she gets the title, I don't know. But wins without titles, especially on Night of Champions, I don't know how they're going to go with that, if they go that way. Speaking of titles, we've got 3 more title matches up. Dolph Ziggler defending the Intercontinental title. Hopefully he won't have his stunt double R. Ziggler in his corner. Against The Miz, who, as much as I like Damien Sandow, hopefully he'll keep clear of this and we won't see Damien Mizdow. Anyway, this is finally where Lucas and I disagree. I think The Miz regains the Intercontinental title and Lucas is sticking with Ziggles. Another disagreement comes in the United States title matchup as Sheamus, the Irish darling, defends the United States title against Cesaro. This would be a great European title matchup if they didn't discontinue that back in 2002, as you've got an Irishman defending against a Swiss. But in either case, I'm thinking Cesaro picks up the U.S. title. Lucas is sticking with his fella, Sheamus. And finally, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the rematch from SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar defending the World Heavyweight title, which he won at SummerSlam, rather handily against John Cena, and he defends it again. And even though Cena is Lucas's boy, he's going with the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar, as am I. So 6 of the 8 we agree on: Lesnar, Rusev, Orton, Rollins, Goldstar, and Nikki. And then we differ. I'm going with The Miz and Cesaro for the Intercontinental and U.S. titles, respectively. Lucas is sticking with the reigning champs, Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus. Here's what we think. Make your picks accordingly, and pick with your head, not over it, and don't pick your nose. And if you're going to put shekels on it, do so responsibly, because I don't want to feel like I'm the cause for making you go broke. Again, this is all predetermined fun. I don't know what the results are. I just guess. And so far I've done fairly decently, 46-19 for the year. All right, before we put a wrap on this, a couple of notable segments to the show. First of all, today in wrestling history. On this date in 1997, the WWF holding its UK-exclusive one-night-only pay-per-view. In the main event, Shawn Michaels defeating the British Bulldog to win the European Championship. And that led to... This was in the very infancy of Degeneration X. And with Michaels carrying around the European belt, it made for an interesting scenario heading into only 2 months later, the 1997 Survivor Series up in Montreal, and I think we all know what happened there, so I won't rehash it for the 38 billionth time. But it was a great time in 1997. On this date in 1999, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Cincinnati, Ohio. In the main event, Ric Flair defeated Diamond Dallas Page by disqualification. And finally, on this date in 2009, TNA held its No Surrender pay-per-view, where in the main event, AJ Styles defeated Hernandez, defending champion Kurt Angle, Matt Morgan, and Sting in a 5-way match to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. There it is, your look at today in wrestling history, September 20. And finally, a segment that seems to shoehorn its way into the end of each program, birthdays. A few notable ones here on September 20th. On this date, September 20th, 1951, former Intercontinental Champion and 2004 WWE Hall of Famer Greg the Hammer Valentine turns 63 today. And he'll be celebrating his birthday at the Legends of the Ring convention going on in Monroe, New Jersey, which, if I get some semblance of sleep, I might consider going up to. I know RC from Completely Damaged, good friend of the show. He is going to be up there in full force, filming, hoping to interview, doing his thing up there. And since the show's preempted, we'll see if I take that trip to Monroe. Maybe I'll get the chance to see Greg the Gas Tank, Greg the Hammer Valentine. On this date in 1958, former WWE Tag Team Champion, 5-time WCW Tag Team Champion, and 4-time WCW Television Champion, as well as 2012 WWE Hall of Famer, AA The Enforcer Arn Anderson turns 56 today. And finally, in 1975, on this date, former ECW announcer and manager, a man who really should introduce himself. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and let him do that. He turns 39 today. I'll just simply say 3 words. Well, well, well.
And well, well, well. Now that Styles is done boring ya, I think that I should warn ya that girls get hornier and hornier when I come to California, because I am the man for whom, if it's a crime for my to be large, then you know I'm always guilty as charged. The quintessential stud muffin, Joel. Every woman's infatuation across the whole entire nation. They like the pulsation, but they love the penetration. And I can sense your frustration since all you get is You can use your imagination, or I could give you a demonstration. Another pay-per-view here in New York City, and with her face on my even that girl would look pretty. But wait. I really shouldn't have said that. That was kind of I apologize. I'm just trying to be witty, and I hope you're not offended, because that would truly be a pity, because I was gonna fondle those and lick that little I'm California dreaming, and I leave the girlies screaming, 'cause I'm a licking demon. With vanilla flavored Gertner.
So yes, happy 39th birthday to the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner. That's going to put a wrap on this for me. Enjoy the Monster Factory tonight if you're going. Look for me. I'll have my usual afro on. Enjoy Night of Champions tomorrow. Hopefully you enjoyed Webisode 5 of Pro Wrestling Weekly as I've been preempted for high school football. I'll be back next week in a similar internet format as I get bitten by the preemption bug 2 weeks in a row. But I'll have the recap of Night of Champions, more news and notes, more birthdays today in wrestling history. Hopefully another update on what's going on with Sinomania. All that and a bunch more. I'm your host, Fearon. Thanks for listening to Webisode 5 of Pro Wrestling Weekly, usually heard on 1490 WBCB and always heard online at WBCB.